If there's no objection, we'll just go ahead and approve it without a voice vote. We'll do that. The minutes, A, B, and C, I need a motion for approval. Motion to approve. Okay, there's been a motion to approve A, B, and C of the minutes, which are October 25th, December 1st, January 3rd of the meeting of the minutes. Is there any discussion on motion? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. Okay, now we're down, right now, are there, since we've approved the minutes, was there any on, although we don't have anyone adding ordinance or resolution, but other agenda items, we can still do this. Is there anybody that needs anything added to it? Hearing none, we'll go. All right, we'll go ahead with it. We have some folks. Is there anything on the agenda that you all are wanting to talk about?
We were here to discuss the Cages Road
Okay,
parking situation.
all right. We'll put you down then for that one. Anybody, anything else? All right. Reading resolution of 2023-2. A resolution accepting the dedication of the streets in Durham Farms of the phase 1 only and section 1 only. This also includes the pump station turnaround. I need a motion. Motion to approve. Okay, the proper second. Discussion. When will this come before the board? Next, is it this meeting or the next?
It would be the next meeting.
One, okay.
Yeah, and just for historical purposes,
Sure.
the phase 1, section 1 was accepted previously, but it
Right.
didn't specify the pump station turnaround.
Okay, so that's the major inclusion of this ordinance or this resolution, excuse me.
That's right.
All right. So I was trying to, reading it, because I remember we passed this at one time, but I don't think there was any objections at that point either. Okay, is anybody ready to vote on resolution 2023-02? Everyone ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously on to the Board of Mayor and Alderman. It's already passed planning correctly. Is that correct? Or did it?
That
Or
was-
might not need to. Would it?
Usually, you know what, you're right. Usually it would go to Planning Commission
Right.
after Public Works Committee. I'll have to talk with Keith, since technically this has been accepted.
Right, so
I'll discuss that.
I don't, my feeling is I'm not sure, I don't think it needs to be, can just go directly to the board because they've already passed the phase.
Yeah.
The pump station turnaround is what's necessary for this. So we'll go ahead and check that out, but I think I'm right on that.
Okay.
All right. Well, the mayor's not here, but maybe Jesse can talk to us a little bit about this. The item 2 is the reading on resolution 2023-03. It's a resolution of authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement substituting Lisa Vogue Tower Partners with Vogue 8 LLC to an existing option lease agreement dated August 8, 2019. You know anything about that?
It's a name change. So it's allowing the mayor to execute a contract.
Yeah.
With an updated name.
And there's anything has not changed or anything.
Yeah, the language in there says they maintain all the same liabilities and responsibilities.
Okay, good deal. All right. Any discussion, Andy, on this one?
No, sir, no further discussion.
Okay, yeah, all right, good deal, man. All right, is everyone ready to vote on the name change? Is basically what this is. All right, since there's no further discussion, all in favor signify on aye by resolution 2023-03, signify by saying aye. I'll oppose it, passes unanimously on to the Board of Mayor and Alderman. Now, moving right along, we're doing real well tonight. Did you need anything added on the agenda?
I'll talk to you under other business.
Okay, sir. Very well, well done. Let's go with the Waste Pro Settlement Agreement and Contract Amendment.
So, I'll go ahead and provide the
Yeah,
update. for that.
somebody, yeah,
So, I believe that, that we've shared kind of the high points of that, but we have come to an agreement, and I think it's a good agreement. We will be implementing, we will be adding the service plan that was discussed previously and provided by Waste Pro a couple of years ago
right,
to the contract as an amendment as well. But when we went back and looked at the misses to be counted, we found there were 128. And then we were utilizing the $100 fee for those because they exceeded the threshold for the lower fees, and that comes to 12,800. And the agreement provides that they will pay the first 25% of that with their next invoice after the execution of the agreement. So that's 3,200. The remaining 75% of that, they will have the opportunity to earn as a 25% credit February through May. But if at any time during those months, they have events that exceed the 200 missed threshold, then they would not earn their credit for that month. If at any time there is a finable event on a Friday route, then all of that $9,600 would not be, they would not be able to earn that back as a performance credit. So I think it's a really good compromise to not be punitive, but to promote performance. And we really appreciate their proactive work in coming and it, days ahead of inclement weather. So.
all right, so it was actually, they had missed what, 128 then was the actual count that we figured out, or?
The outside of
Basically.
the 24-hour window.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
With consideration of the holiday and inclement weather days that were in that timeline as well.
Okay. Have you all discussed this with Eddie? Because I know a lot of it was in his ward. He and Jim Waters' ward. Did you all talk to them about it? And they
Yes,
realized that's cool with them.
yes, he said he felt very good about this.
Okay. Any further discussion on it?
I thought it was very reasonable.
Yeah, that is reasonable because, even though they missed 128, it's unfortunate that happened. The weather was bad and the roads were really, really terrible. I think they even said that one of the trucks went off to the side, and they didn't want the driver messing with her. Maybe the driver didn't want to mess with it because it was pretty atrocious, but they still, need to understand, how we did. I think I guess the bottom line is I think it's reasonable too. So, and it gives them the opportunity to pay, in increments to that.
Mhm.
All right, well, that's good. I don't think there's any, when will the contract when will the amendment to the contract go back to the board for approval? I would imagine that it would.
We're gonna put it on as a receive and file, so there's a copy of it, so it'll be a consent item just to receive and file. So that we have
Okay.
a history of it.
That's fair enough. And if anybody wants to discuss it at that time, appropriate time, they can, but that's cool. That's probably a good thing to do that. All right, since there's no voting on the Waste Pro agreement, we will let the board know tonight, what their end result was for that, because I'm sure they're curious about it. And then now let's just go right on to the trash collection update.
Sure, so, of course, we have the ice event through the holidays, and we saw the significant peak through the line graph, but since that time and even beyond up till today's date, we resumed the normal number of misses where we're typically below 10 is really usually around the maximum that we see, except for on Mondays. Sometimes you'll see, 13 or so, but we're back to normal levels. There was a really minor situation on a Friday route, and they had resolved it before we had even heard about it. So they've been very proactive in trying to address those situations.
All righty, now let's go on to the item that I think you all are here for is for the Cages Road issue. Would you all like to speak on that at this point?
Will we be able to speak after we hear what it is that you all are wanting to discuss? Because I'm not sure what exactly you all are proposing.
All right, not a problem. Let's go on then to the no parking signs on Cages Road. Go ahead.
Okay, so this was a request that we had received to evaluate Cages Road for no parking signs. Apparently there have been several instances where either calls have been received by HPD or they've been out there and had seen cars parked along the roadway, which is Cages Road is approximately 16 to 18 feet in width. So it is very narrow. And so in evaluating that, we took it to traffic and parking committee and discussed, and I have been in conversations with Ms. Chaton about that as well. And they would like for there not to be parking signs installed, and that's why I believe they're here tonight to discuss. And so some of the history, Lake Haven, which is property that they own along Cages Road, it's Tap Road, it's townhomes, and they have a shared access drive. And then in the back, there's some dedicated parking for the units. When it was designed, it was not designed or approved for on-street parking. There are 2 spaces per unit. Comments from the 2016 Cages Commercial, which was the previous name before Lake Haven, indicated or specified that no parking may encroach into the right of way, which begins at the back of sidewalk. The right of way includes sidewalk, grass area, and the roadway, the asphalt. This was provided as an excerpt from the zoning ordinance in place at that time, which is shared in your packet. On page 20 is the excerpt. The current zoning ordinance also shows the same, and that is also on page 20. And then on-street parking may not be a viable option unless there were a waiver requested and approved through the planning process. And I included an excerpt from the current zoning ordinance as well on page 20. And then I also noted there have been 0 collisions in the past 3 years. The recommendation was to install no parking signs specifically, and really we don't encourage on-street parking in the city, but specifically because of how narrow Cages Road is.
Right.
Under TCA, you are not permitted to park along a roadway unless there's 18-foot passable drive area. So that was the decision, and when that was shared, the request was made for an appeal, basically. So we're here to discuss that.
All right.
Which TCA code?
55-8-158.
And we hadn't,
That's just where Cages. No, this is, I don't think so. It's in the upper east. Yeah, I don't. So, do you know who your alderman is, what ward you're?
I believe it's a female. Not think her name.
Okay, I'll look at that.
yeah, we'll find out. Who it is. I just like to let them know who, that my policy or our policy in public works, if there's an issue. No, I'm not sure, because I know it's not in Ward 1. Wish you were. We got some fine folks. I know people live on Cages, but have we had a lot of people that have complained about parking on the side of the road there on Cages?
I haven't personally received a lot of complaints, but there have been some to each people.
Okay. Because to be honest with you, every time I blasted through there, I hadn't seen any parking on there, but I can imagine at night it could be. Let's see what else. Okay. And so now you're telling us that
You want the parking signs or you don't want them?
Um,
would like parking.
Well, here's where, and I brought the plat because it might help have a visual of the
Right.
situation. And we have restricted, all of these are leased apartments, and we've restricted on the lease only 2 motor vehicles per dwelling. And so that way we don't have a situation where they have like 3 or 4 cars.
Right.
However, people have guests, that's the problem. And when we did this development, this was the first thing we've ever done. We've never done anything like this, except for one single duplex we had on Hayden Street. But it's a total of 2 acres. And in the back is a 55-foot drainage easement, which was granted. And then when we also did the development, we gave, I believe it was 15-foot right-of-way easement here and an additional right-of-way road frontage on Cages Road to widen the road, which was done. And the other side of, is my understanding is it's supposed to be widened by whoever develops the other side.
Right.
So once it does get developed, it will be that wider road and not the narrow road. So it's been partially widened at this time. But you can see each unit has 2 parking spaces and there is no other place to put parking. And originally what we did is in between each one of these buildings is we put some gravel down, and our plans were after the city went in and widened was to go in and pave that piece and then curve it to make it look nice, just to have some parallel parking on the streets, kind of like I've seen in a lot of the other neighborhoods and subdivisions that they've been doing that, where they have those alley entrances
Right.
for guests. And so that's kind of what we were wanting to do eventually. But when this first came up, I'd asked about that and was told that if I did submit something like that, it wouldn't be approved because there was supposed to be a swell put along the front here, which when they widened the road, they did not do a swell. And I believe it's because it's not needed. I've never seen any water runoff there. And this drainage easement back here, I've never seen it hold water or have a lot of tremendous amount of water in it either. I think it's, I see a lot of the properties back here, especially this one here, where there's a pond in their backyard. And then here on the corner, there's usually a pond when it gets heavy rain, but none of that flows back into this drainage easement here that was put.
Okay.
Like I said, we're willing to make some improvements. If we could have probably at least maybe a year to save up some money to do this, or if you all would approve doing the parallel parking in the front, or if we could somehow take back half of this easement in the back to do some additional parking, because that would still leave a huge drainage pond area for them to back up into. But just kind of need some assistance from you all in trying to figure out some additional parking where we could get some in, and then have a little bit of leeway, like I said, at least a year where we could save some money and do something with it.
Within a year, would this property not probably be purchased and developed?
It's been purchased.
That's a roll.
You all
of the
would,
dice.
yeah, you all would know if there's anything that's been submitted, yeah, before I would, I don't own that.
It's reasonably priced, so.
Well, it did sell after ours was, because it was for sale when after we purchased our at the same time. And it did sell, but I'm not sure what they're doing with it.
No.
And originally, when we had the parking in between, we had recessed it in enough. that
Yeah,
It was more than clear of the road.
it was out of the streets. The city came in and took out all of the gravel we put in and put in grass, and the tenants are still parking there. Like there was gravel there and now it's getting muddy. They park there when it rains. And a couple of tenants even put their own little gravel back in for a few places. So, my fear is if not having something workable, not having a place for visitors to park, it's gonna make it harder and harder for us to rent these out. And, we spend our life savings on these and,
And not only that, we're not there to oversee it, and so
Yeah.
they're gonna park there regardless. And now they're parking in the mud and tracking the.
tracking
mud
mud everywhere
into the
and stuff,
ponds,
but
And also when they leave down the road, it's just becoming an issue.
yeah, not having done one of these, we never even thought about parking for, their visitors and things like that, never.
Because we did actually have garages on there, and we
Oh, well,
wanted to do
yeah.
your parking here, but with the setbacks and And the easements.
That made it obsolete is what that did.
Yeah, originally we did, he's right, we had driveways in the front with garages, we would have been able to have a car in the garage plus 2 to 3 in the driveway and. We changed our plans and put everything in the rear for the city.
It does give it a nice look and
It does, and
it has a nice feel and curve.
yeah, and we get what you guys are trying to do, make it look nice and neat and.
With the, what we were proposing though was, and we were waiting till the street was done, which it is now, would be to just extend the asphalt into those parallel parkings. And, so it would have that clean effect and look, and then be serviceable. So that's pretty much where we're at on it, I guess.
From a staff perspective, as far as the process for the improvements, which the improvements obviously are great. I think that that would need to go through the planning commission, similar to what you did before with the site plan. And then any reduction in easements would be a plat revision. So that would all kind of initiate through the planning department as far as a shorter
Sure, yeah.
solution. That's a different discussion, but for the long-term improvements, that would be.
Well,
quick.
and I am aware of that, but part of my reservation in doing that is when I was. Asked about doing something like that, was told it wouldn't be approved if I did, so didn't want to spend the money to do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to see
Um,
what is easiest for you to save money, because I know what you've got to do and the cost for it.
Oh, yeah, this thing was a hole, we had to backfill, if y'all.
No, I know,
look
I'm
like,
very familiar with that.
it looks really nice now, except for the front does need improvements and to make it, clean it up, make it finish it up. So,
Well, it was okay until the gravel got out. Now it does, and the gravel was temporary until we were able to, until the road was completed, and then we were gonna pave. But now that gravel's gone, it really is diminishing the look of the property. Because again, people are parking in the grass and just running in the traffic in the mud. And so,
Well,
and I do know, I mean, we own property on Haven Street and, we're in and out of those streets there. And I know this isn't the only road that I've seen cars parking on in the OTR
well, what I,
area.
yeah, this is my feeling on it. I want to get a win-win for everybody, because really it's the people that live there that are gonna have to suffer, for it if we don't do something, because it's gonna get worse. And it's not gonna look attractive where you live. It's just not going to. I understand that. But at the same time, for safety reasons, we want the city to be, I don't know the word that I'm searching for at this point, but we want the city to be clear, the way where they're not allowed. So if we were able to, let's say, I don't know how, a year, let's just, and see what we can come up with, and if you all have, can save some money up, and see what we can do about not putting the signs there. And we can just alert the people that, complained about it. We can tell them what we're doing, because I mean, this is just me. I want to work with you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, because, that, and probably in a year's time, depending on the economy, on how it's going in Hendersonville, I would imagine those things there'll be something that will come up on that side that's vacant. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that it is not, they haven't built on it yet, honestly. But, maybe the economy's hit them as hard as a lot of others. So, I don't know. Do you have a feeling on it at all at this point?
So where's the easement on here compared to this?
Well, you can see where the driveway is. It starts right here with this dotted line.
Mhm.
So you can't see from the a picture of the elevation. It's really steep from here to here.
In the
It's
back.
super steep. Here's not as bad, but it's probably, what do you say, like a foot or it starts to go into the drainage.
Yes, it's probably from here to about the middle, there's probably 4 foot.
You know, people park on one side of this car.
They
They
already
already
are.
already, yeah,
You provide the two parking spaces per building,
2 per building.
per
yeah.
unit.
And then some of them do park on that drive and I get complaints because they're like, it makes it hard for the tenants to go in and out, but I don't want to fuss at them because. You know, it is of limited parking and
Well, I think 2 is more than, I think the minimum is only 1.5 per unit.
yeah,
So you're already providing more than. I think was required.
yeah, and I've stopped in the beginning. I took a couple apartments where they had 3 roommates with 3 cars. Then once it became a problem, I stopped doing that and restricted it to 2 cars per dwelling on a lease.
You don't have boat storage or anything like that. So what I would recommend is,
Oh, storage.
because you have this,
Mhm.
if you had, a civil engineer draw up some options and talk with you, they wouldn't charge you the full price, because you already have, the base file. So. that would
Yeah,
be-
and I know Michael really well. I could go back and get some assistance on that too, I think so.
That would be my recommendation, because the planning committee, they're not unreasonable, and, y'all have something that's noted.
I mean, do you think, is there one that you would prefer to see, like where we ask for part of like half of this easement back and provide parking back here? Or would you all rather see something in the front with the parallel parking where it is curved, kind of like in those other neighborhoods with back alleys or?
So well, so a lot of it's gonna depend on drainage, so you're still
Exactly,
looking your hydraulics and just see what your options really are. And that will determine how much of the easement can be kind of given back as well or removed. So I would say if it could work out, the best case would be the back, since the zoning ordinance does not allow the on-street parking. Because if that's your only option, then likely you'll be probably the Board of Zoning Appeals maybe for an appeal to that to get a variance or waiver, whatever they call that, to be able to construct on-street parking.
Mhm.
So obviously that process would be just a little bit more difficult.
I want the passive least resistance.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to search for, because, and I would say this, I would be in favor, of having you in the back
Mhm.
of the complex.
And it would look nicer,
It would,
so,
and it really would, but at the same time, the engineer's gonna have to make sure that it does not affect the water problem. Because believe you me, we got enough of that in Hendersonville now.
yeah. Well, we're aware of it because if the other condos that are on the same side of the road as this, there's one piece of property here, and there's another one where they've got front and back units.
Right.
Our duplex on Hagan Street backs up to that, and we get a lot of water. That whole backyard stays pretty wet back there, so we know what you're talking about. And like I said, this yard right here holds water in the backyard, but the way this is designed, it stops here. This yard is level, and you're not getting part of any runoff here from it. And you might get a little bit where it comes back up here on this side, but like I said, I've never seen it hold water at all.
Okay. What I know sounds like. I would probably, at this point, before we move forward with this, have the engineer take a look at it. Now you kind of have a feel of what we're suggesting is have it in the back. But I'd also probably go to planning and talk to them and tell them what you want to do.
Mhm.
See if they have any problem with it. I don't really. I was thinking of Timothy looking at it, and and of course he'll have his folks look at it, but I don't really foresee him having a problem about that. I'd be shocked, especially in the back right there.
Mhm.
But do you all feel comfortable with that? If you don't, tell me. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Well, I mean, obviously the easiest, cheapest would be to do the front, and when the road is widened, it would fall under the guidelines.
Yeah,
So.
it would be the cheapest for you. I
It
don't
definitely
know.
would.
Yeah,
And
sure
I'm
would.
afraid even with these back parking, because they have the sidewalks that come all the way out to Especially the delivery guys too, they always just swing in and stop right there in the front, and so even with this back area. I still am afraid that people are gonna just pull in there and park in the grass.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
So when the road is widened with the property owner on the other side, that would give us the necessary width. And ours, even now, we were able to get a car in there far enough off the road that it's not a concern as far as somebody hitting it. And another point is this is the end of the road here.
Right.
And so they really shouldn't be going that fast regardless, you know, if they're going short distance.
Part of
Yeah,
it's emergency access as well,
Hmm.
fire truck,
Right.
size,
Oh, yeah.
of those vehicles trying to
have
navigate.
Had to go through all that with this too, to make sure fire trucks could get in and out back
Right.
here. and stuff.
This is wide enough in the turn here and everything, but. When somebody is parked there, though, it's not obstructing the road. It's not even into the lane at all.
What are the chances of do you think of getting away with the parallel parking on the street? Do you see that very often?
Well, that would be up to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And I'll tell you this, we've got a really good Board of Zoning Appeals and they are strict, I will tell you, they're very smart. And I wouldn't venture to, because the reason why is Pat Campbell used to be the representative and he and I would switch off. Because I had the zoning appeals for the planning area. And he had him for the city, and then when the committee became obsolete anymore with the county commission. And the state laws, the way it's in. And then sometimes at that time, when mine was gone, I would just go with him. As to help a little bit there. And we got some good people on there and of course, and then the elections came and they moved me somewhere else, which that's okay too. And I don't know who is the Board of Zoning Appeals now? Does anybody know? I have no idea who it is. It's everything's kind of new because we've been playing what's that, musical chairs with aldermen here lately. So we're getting ready to resolve that issue tonight, actually.
Are you able to ask for a waiver prior to having the plans redone? Or do you have
They
to
would
have
probably
the
ask for it.
They probably want
Plans
plans
are
done.
looking like you're gonna have to do some plans. I would be,
Yeah.
because here's the thing. I don't want you to waste your time and effort. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, this is just me saying this, but I've been down this road before, not maybe a specific area of what you all are going through, but other things as well. And so I've done the good and the bad. And I think at this point, not to waste your time, but I think you're gonna have to get a design. And I think that you need to talk to the planning commission, because I will tell you this. If you can get approval through the planning commission, and it has to go to the Board of Appeals, and the planning commission or the planning department has no issue with what you have. There might be some questions for you because they're very inquisitive. You're gonna have an easier time, I will tell you that. You'll have that's just my opinion. That what I have seen over 31 years of being an alderman. That you're gonna have an easier time. They might put you through the ropes a little bit because they're a very bright committee. But I think that you would have an easier time going through the process if you did.
Yeah.
Does anybody disagree? Tell me if you all do.
No, I think it would be very beneficial at a minimum to at least meet with Public Works and Planning.
Yeah.
City engineer now, Stephen Winston Reed, and then.
Yeah, because that your apartment's going to be there forever, and so we want to make it right for the city and for the people that live there, and you all too, because you own it. So I mean, that's my feeling. I don't know, Mike, do you have any other further discussion on this?
No, our residents allowed to make an appointment with a person in zoning to just hear what the requirements are.
I would ask that question of planning, but I don't think the Board of Zoning Appeals does appointments. They're not
Not
cities
them.
that,
The
but planning department,
planning department,
yes.
I would start there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's your best bet is to go there first, and I hate to tell you that. I wish I could just wave a magic wand and say, be done, you know?
I guess we were just trying to see if there was even a chance, you know, before we pursue it further.
Yeah.
Because if it was just gonna be saying, next week on our mind.
Right, well, you did the right thing. I mean, believe it or not, I know. I don't want you leaving here thinking this was a waste of time, because it's not, because it very well may come back to this committee again. And we'll know it, you know, that. You know, we can go back and tell plan, look, they came to us first and we suggested, in fact, I'll probably do that. Let Keith Free know that, you know, they came to us and, you know. We want to help them as much as we can, so anything you can do for them.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, if you could, if there's any way you guys could postpone putting up a no parking sign. So we can.
Yeah,
get this taken
I think
care
we
of.
can do that. Don't you think that we could just hold off on the signs before, let them work with planning? And then whatever happens, you know, the result of it comes to you, or if it comes back here again, then, or it goes to the Board of Appeals. Does that sound pretty good? We can just hold off on putting the signs up? Or do you, I mean,
Well, let's do this. Why don't you just leave it on the agenda for next month and then we'll see what you guys have heard back.
because it's not gonna take planning a long time to look at it. It's really not. And I'm not an engineer, but I know a lot of the areas in town, and so I know what they're looking at. And I know what you guys are looking at, and so,
Okay.
and the cost issue especially,
Yeah,
and so,
it is a big cost. Like I said, this was a huge cost on our, just to get it done. It's a miracle on our part. So,
yeah, I remember, I know that area, and I'll just leave that one
Yeah.
for that.
so you're saying, speak with Keith in planning and then go from there.
Right, and he'll probably either, he probably may not look at it, but he'll have his folks, his staff look at it. And then we'll put this on the agenda for next in February, this next agenda. I don't know, I guess it'd be what, the 28th?
Or Tuesday.
Can you email that to me again? So that way. if I
Yeah.
need to come back.
Right, we'll just put you on, and we'll put you on first thing, and that way.
Okay.
You don't
I
have to go
appreciate
through it. We'll make sure of it for the, and I think it is the 28th.
Okay.
It is the 28th, okay.
Well, I appreciate y'all's time.
And I'm glad, that you all can't be clear that, and I'm sorry we couldn't work it out tonight. But I think honestly, for you guys, in the long run, you'll be glad you did to go through the process we've suggested. It will help you.
Every channel works.
I understand. I've been there.
Right.
You know how government is. I hate to say it.
I do.
We are terrible about stuff.
I know exactly how to. Thank you for.
Sure, you're very welcome, man. If you have any questions about it or anything, call the Public Works Department and they'll try to feel out what the problem is and maybe they can help.
Would, you think in the interim, we could put like just a light, put a gravel down to where they've been cracking it up so bad and keep the road, the main road cleaner and the sidewalks and everything clean? I know that's kind of encouraging parking, which you guys don't want.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe.
Right, I'm not sure, because God, I don't even know I know how much gravel you want to put down.
Well, what we had before was basically in between the mailboxes. It was just.
Right, I'm familiar, I mean, I know that.
Yeah, but if you do drive by, you'll see where they're just driving in and parking in front of it right now.
Yeah, and getting them not parked there is like pulling teeth. I can't even get them to step out for the dog.
Right. I mean, we sent out emails and stuff and they just ignored. So I guess I don't really want to pick somebody over something like that either, because then we lose a tenant
Right,
that otherwise is doing,
yeah.
everything needed.
I just hate for you to waste your money, and in case if we, you not to do it. Me, I would
Well, I
honestly
could get, instead of putting gravel down, I could just get that type hard road bedding. Put it down and staple it in, and at least it wouldn't push the mud through. It's like the base that you put down before you. do
Yeah,
Road bed.
um,
Well, if she's gonna email, she could. track
yeah,
down the answer.
I'm just trying to think. I don't know if there is an answer to that. I mean, it's like a.
From a
What do you
staff
think?
perspective, it's encouraging parking.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
a
You gotta do
recommendation
the
of
same.
the light.
See, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to encourage them to park there. Because in the long run, we're actually wanting to park in the back. So, without putting up signs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you just putting up the sign right now.
Yeah.
That way they don't take it.
Well, that's
Not
what,
give it to
that's
you
what we're we're gonna hold off on that until next
Then
month.
immediately and so.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming on. I enjoy that. It's nice to meet you all. Okay, you take care. We'll see you next month. Okay, all right, well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all be safe this evening. Some interesting. That's an interesting situation.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the process for asking for the new?
Long time ago, they came to my house.
Projects.
So there's an option for our website for I want to, you can
Is going
request signs, things like that. Otherwise, you can send them to, streets email. We're working on a work order system through the new software we're looking at, but, anyways, for now, those are the avenues, or you as an alderman, you send them to me and we'll add them to the queue for review.
All right, let's go with light synchronization update, a verbal update here. Let us know what's going on.
Sure, so we are in the construction phase, we haven't broke ground yet. We did actually schedule kind of a kickoff meeting with the contractor. They do have the materials, so that'll be the first week of February.
For what, construction or just? the
Yeah.
discussion?
For the plan of construction, where they're going to start, how they plan to move through the project, and how that'll affect our traffic. things like that.
Okay.
Add something?
Yes, sir. By all means. Yes.
Sarah and I and her staff are gonna meet with them regularly to gauge their progress.
Oh, good. That is a real good thing. All right, any discussion on that? Hearing none, Saunders Ferry Greenway update.
So we're approximately 30% through construction. Making good progress. On budget so far. Moving right along.
All right, any questions or comments? Andy, anything on the Greenway? You want to say?
Not yet,
Good, everything good there then?
out of it. So I have to,
There you go, okay.
looks great.
All right, good. Verbal update on Bradford Berry. Anything at this point?
Yeah, I hadn't received any proposals
Okay.
after we sent out another request. I don't know if Mayor Claire, you received any proposals.
Okay.
Couple conversations and no proposals. Yeah, so the first round we sent out, we received 3 proposals. The site plan that was submitted from the developer had changed. So we wanted to have full disclosure to everyone who submitted. So we reissued the request for proposal with revised site plan, so everyone had the latest information and we received it proposed. So,
We'll probably just leave that out there and see if somebody might pop in. You never know. Maybe in there tomorrow. Never know. All right, any questions on that Bradford Bear Woods? Maybe it'll come up to the screen. Now we're down under business, and Mayor, do you have?
Yeah, thank you.
So a year ago, maybe longer than that, we had a conversation among members of the committee about the house in Bradford Berry.
Right, yes, sir.
At Beatty Farm, now Heritage Park. And one of the, it's very germane that it comes when it does, because Bradford Berry House was being lived in 2003, 2004. The reason it is, the way it is because nobody lived in it.
Right.
We don't want that to happen with the house at Heritage Park. We've had parks going through there on a pretty regular basis. Y'all are storing some things there, is that right? Fire department was using it for administrative offices for about 16, 18 months. So that was helpful. Right now, on a regular basis, we don't have somebody who's there. We certainly don't have somebody who's there at night. And so when I talked to the committee a year or so ago, y'all asked me, so, talk and see if there's somebody that wants to live there, with the focus being on the maintenance and the security, not so much any sort of rent payments. And it got no traction. But I have heard of somebody who wants to live there. I think it'd be a pretty good fit. I don't know the person that well, but just want y'all's thought. Do we still want to pursue that? I'm not saying it's gonna be just one person, but I just haven't really been pursuing it for a while. We have had a summer camp. Are they still storing stuff there? Yeah.
They never did,
Okay, are they coming back,
but they used Sanders Ferry.
Are they gonna use?
They haven't brought that back yet.
Yeah, we encourage that. There's a great summer camp that came here to Sandusbury Park. We thought they did want to use this house, sort of headquarters. Obviously, there are ADA issues there. It has 2 restrooms, one upstairs. And it's not, it's not an office, it's a house. And so if y'all are okay with it, I'll open up the conversation again and see if we can find somebody to take care of it. We may end up bulldozing a house. We may end up modifying it so it can be used as an office or an interpreter. But since we have it right now, I think we should take it.
Well, my feeling on it is it needs to be taken care of. A home that's not lived in, it'll go down. Trust me, I know. And it's important that, the house was not only lived in beforehand, we had our fire department there for a while and it was fine. So my feeling is I don't have a problem with it in terms of having somebody live in there.
And also,
So I would pursue that, but that's just, how do you feel about it?
yeah. And I'll go back to any agreement that we hammer out. Might even have to go to the board with it. I don't know. It's not really park property right now. It's more. Who's storing right now?
Parks.
Is there is the fire department everything out? Okay.
You wouldn't want to fix it up for the jail, the overflow of the
Nope.
jail. I mean, you got women sleeping on the floor on
Yeah.
Saturday
It's not secure enough.
because there's no room at the jail. And you could fix something up that, okay, they're gonna put their time in. You're not gonna worry about them leaving.
That's true.
And like I said, I come back to this committee and possibly the board and on what. sort of deal with it.
Okay, well, yeah, just let us know. How do you feel? How do you feel about with those? Is there a lot of stuff you guys have stored down there or not?
Yeah, we have, all of Miss Hamlin's stuff that she uses for her programs and all her, outdoor Christmas decorations.
But to me, that's sort of more reason to have somebody there is so there's breaking in the house.
Yeah, that's true.
And those are inside the house and in the basement of the house also. There is considerable amount of work that needs to be done to the gutters and windows and other things that Public Works have put out RFP for. Before Sarah took over. And that was not ever really acted upon. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, let's just think about if you can find somebody. And then if not, we'll address that. That's just me though. We don't have a full board tonight, but it really needs to be lived in, or something needs to be done in there, because it'll start falling apart. It will.
There's also the possibility, we've kicked around with this, maybe that becomes a city office for something.
Yeah, it could be.
Make it a great city office.
Well, how fast is the city growing these days?
Yeah.
I mean, the number of hotels is just kind of a measuring stick. Used to be one hotel or something like that.
Look, how many do we have now? Three of them.
So it sounds like we're still sort of where we were a couple months ago. I'll keep looking.
Yeah, just do that, and if it works out, that's good, and then we can work out, with the Parks Department, with their situation, with their stuff that's in there. Anybody else have anything that,
I've got a window there. if there's-
okay, yeah, I've got one at 6 after this too, so.
Any,
Yes, I have a update, Mr. Chairman. Under other business, if that's what you're asking.
I sure do, that's what I was waiting, that was your online. Your
We
key.
need to make BOMA, this is BOMA's notification through the committee process. The Country Hills Golf Course Committee voted to raise the rates for the coming year. After talking to the city attorney, I don't think that has to be voted on, but we do have to give notification. So they're raising their rates pretty much across the board in several areas. I think I sent that after the golf course committee sent that word out to BOMA through email, but we need to make sure that we provide enough.
All right, let me ask you this, do I need to make an announcement on the board, or is it?
You can make that part of you can make that part of your report with the golf commission. Especially if Eddie's not gonna be here, maybe.
maybe if they remodeled it just a little bit, they could justify this increase.
Well, we have nearly $50,000 worth of repair work to be done inside the pro shop, thanks to the frozen pipes.
I play with 90 guys on Mondays, and they played there once or twice. And I know they could come back if they could fix this course up. Middle Tennessee Golfers Association, bunch of good guys. 90 of them.
Repair for what now? What, they'd come back from?
Repair the golf course, fix it up.
Oh, yeah.
And make it a little more decent.
Other part of my update is about $50,000 worth of repairs covered by insurance from the frozen pipe at Country Hills. Got bids out for that, and they're as part of that, you, Jesse, may notify BOMA too, but there was an emergency PO situation in Parks and Fire Department and at Country Hills to do the drying work, not the repair work, but the drying work. Something we had to get on notice. Do those things. And then update on the cart barn out there is, here and see part of the mid-year budget. We basically have no choice but to build a new cart barn by this time.
Have you all even ventured a price on that?
Yeah, we've done a lot of work in a short amount of time between Jesse, Sarah. They've done the bulk of it with Lynn Ray and myself. We're settling around a $375,000 price tag, sort of. We think we're pretty close. That's a good starting point. I feel better about that today than I did a couple weeks ago. But we'll put all that out to bid, and long story short, it'll be 4 to 6 month process, but we've got to get our people working there out of there.
And once that starts and we get a bid out, you'll obviously come back to this committee, and then we'll probably refer it to capital projects.
It'll be within the mid-year budget ordinance.
Okay,
So that's kind of how we'll probably handle that, where everybody gets a shot at it.
absolutely.
It's already in there.
Okay, it's already in there.
You anything on the stop 30 widening? I thought I was here because primarily you're gonna widen stop 30. No.
That's not on the agenda tonight.
Okay,
Yeah, now that would be on the agenda, why did it stop 30? I think that's on capital projects committee, if I'm not mistaken.
okay.
Um,
I'm just kind of worried about that because I've had a kid in my front yard, 50 yards. And I've had the gas line break to the furnace, the air conditioner and the chimney. All busted because the 16-year-old driving before he had licensed it. And I also had another kid come in and hit the front bank. Now, his suspension went out. But then the drinkers, they go in the ditch on the other side. I pulled 3 women out of their cars because that little curve. And if it's wide, and already we've got 80, 90 miles an hour on 30, I don't want to see it getting higher than that. But when a gal's drinking and she's still alive, I'll pull them out of the car. So
Okay,
please don't whine.
all right,
I've
well,
got kids in that front yard, 3 kids, little buggers. I've got 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, children around that curve. And I'd hate to see the whiting. You drive different here in Tennessee than you do in Ohio. And I've had a lot of police and that work in my part of the Air Force that can talk about our driving in Ohio, but it's not like the killings that go on down here in Tennessee. Or if you drive at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, going
Yeah.
to the golf course, you see a lot of people just killing themselves. The fire trucks come down with 3, the police come down with 5, and the ambulances come down with 5 to get to the accident, to take the pieces out. Huge accidents out there.
Well, we'll do that. I'll make a note that when Eddie comes, or excuse me, Alderman Robertson comes back, I'll let him know that you came here to voice your opinion on that.
Okay, now I don't know if I'm supposed to be here for any other meetings. I got this notice to come and I just assumed it was for South 30, but am I supposed to be here more often?
Who sent you the notice?
Hmm?
Or who sent you the notice?
I don't know who, I can't remember who sent the notice.
I don't know.
Okay,
Well, I will tell you this, we've got a meeting at 6 for facilities naming committee, and then our board of aldermen start at 7.
so the meeting those came to come to this time.
I don't know. I don't know what it was,
Okay,
but I would refer back to your letter and find out who it was, and I would call them and let them know, you know, they
Okay.
need to be more specific on the ones you need to come to. But we're always welcome for you. You can come to our committee anytime.
Holds folks.
We have fun.
I mean, I just turned 80.
Well, you don't look it.
I just got my first 5% pay raise ever from the military.
Oh, my God.
Nancy held on to it from January through after the election.
I never could figure out why. she
Those
did
young
that.
kids out there, those young
Yeah.
men and women with babies, didn't get that 5% pay raise because she held on to it.
Wow.
Smoke. The
Oh,
guy with the hammer hit the wrong
He's
guy.
almost been alive as long as he's been an alderman.
Yeah. That's right. Well, all right, we'll go on to the, if there's no, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 5:57. So we've got another one coming on at 6 o'clock. I don't know whether this is in here or not.